What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. As you can see, it's a slightly different setup today. We drop episodes every single week, and I realized since my two co-hosts were traveling, and we couldn't do our typical style of recording, I had to figure something out. So I came to the office, and lo and behold, I found my guy Javin.
What's going on, baby?
We decided to get a podcast.
Oh, my fault.
What you doing, man?
My bad.
And then people get on camera, they get camera shot, they forget how to do the handshake. But anyway,
So Jacqueline, I'm taking over for you.
So today, I want to talk a little bit about the wealth triangle. So obviously you guys know my bread and butter is teaching people how to build wealth, how to invest, etc. But I like to look at it more abstractly, right? And so the wealth triangle, especially for entrepreneurs, really paints the picture for how to build wealth as entrepreneurs. I'm gonna just break it down conceptually. You can just chime in, let me know what you think.
Mm-hmm.
As an entrepreneur, if you kind of agree with the philosophy, right? So the wealth triangle is basically a methodology and a process for building wealth as an entrepreneur. So the way I like to think about it is the first thing you need to do is you got to invest in yourself, right?
Right.
You got to create a high income skill set. So you're on a real estate firm, right? So you're high.
Daniels Real Estate Group, Simple Club.
Daniel Real Estate Group. You want to sponsor the podcast? You know what I'm saying? Pay us some money.
Yeah.
But so you own a real estate firm, right? So obviously, investing in the stock market is cool. It's important. But even me as someone whose bread and butter is advising people on investing money in the markets, above that, I advise people on creating a high income skill set because ultimately, if you're only making $50, it ain't going to do nothing in the stock market, right? You have to develop a high income skill set that's going to give you the surplus in cash flow to be able to invest in other things. So tell us about how investing in yourself has been like a catalyst for you building wealth.
Yeah. I mean, so I think the first thing that I did was, learn about real estate.
Right.
That was the first thing that I did to invest in myself. Then also invested in a company, invested in branding. And it was just one of those things that until I really focused on solely real estate, I was doing a whole bunch of things. As entrepreneurs, we have a hand in different baskets. But when I finally solely focused on real estate, maybe two and a half, 3 years ago, I really just took off, right? I did have opportunities to invest in stocks and other things, but it was until I'm at a point where I'm self-sufficient or I don't have to really go into work, clock in, work with clients and things of that nature, everything that I get, I need to put back into the business. Right. Whether it's marketing, systems, operational, an assistant, somebody to film, marketing content for me, whatever it is, I'm just continuing to do that. And it is scaling my business, every step of the way. So I definitely think that you got to stay in one lane.
Right. So, because the misconception is that people say 7 streams of income, right? And so it's not 7 different jobs though, right? Yeah, exactly. It's investing into the main thing first and then taking the surplus capital from that and then ultimately taking that money and being able to invest in other things passively.
Exactly.
People get it wrong. It's I'm going to be a real estate agent. I'm going to do hair. I'm going to sell bean pot. Nah, you can't do 7 different things.
No, for sure.
You need to get one thing right and then take the excess capital if it's truly passive and invest in other things, right? And so I think that's the biggest thing I want people to take away is it's important to have a high income skill set, even in the digital era where everybody's I want to make money online. That's cool. But you want to have a skill set that you can pick up the phone because of who you are and the value you bring, you can make money, especially in a recession. How you make money at certain times, it might not always last, right? You got to be agile and have skill sets. So no matter what the market is, you can make money. You know that firsthand, right?
Yeah.
It's it ain't going to be easy for everybody. And so we're moving into an era where it's going to shake out the entrepreneurs who just were able to kind of ride away.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's people ain't, in the words of Nipsey Hussle, shout out Nipsey Hussle, RIP, we're going to see who's swimming naked when the tide comes in, So with entrepreneurship, the reason why you have to invest in yourself so intently is because the sharper your skills, the better you become at something, you can command a certain dollar amount for whatever you do. If I do a speaking engagement, I know if all of my businesses go to crap, I can still step on the stage and make a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No, I can do a brand deal because I built a brand. So it's making sure you have ways to invest in yourself that are always going to bring you money. So that's the number one part of the wealth triangle is you making you money, right? Investing in high income skill sets to where you can always make money.
And you do a great job with the brand, bro. I just want to, congratulate you.
That, man.
For sure. I want to congratulate you. And as far as, I've seen you grow with the brand, and it's always been Melanin money. It's always been financial literacy.
Right.
And I think you do it well. And then you have different income level streams of income just through off of legacy, financial literacy
right.
and Melanin money. So, I definitely think you're doing it well.
I appreciate that. And so that kind of goes to my next point. So I'll give an analogy so that it helps you guys understand how I'm doing this in real time, right? So my high income skill set was being a financial advisor, right? Knowing how to manage people's money in the stock market, building financial plans, and people coming to me as a consultant because they know I can help them get from A to Z, right? That was my high income skill set. It is my high income skill set. So with that, what I did to build something scalable was by creating the Melanin Millionaires Club. So you go from a high income skill set, right, where you make you money, to transitioning into a business where people or systems can make you money, right? So a simpler analogy might be if I'm a celebrity barber, even if I'm charging $100 a head, it's still only so many hours in a day, right? Still only so many houses Javin can sell by himself, right? So once you create a high income skill set, the next thing to do is create a scalable business where people or systems make you money, right? So you go from being the barber to owning the barbershop. You go from being a real estate agent to owning a real estate brokerage, right? And so you also own a real estate brokerage, right? So tell us about the logic there and how you're scaling through people, right? Because again, there's only so many houses Javin can sell in a day, right? So tell us a little bit about that because I want people to see in real time, like the evolution. So I'll talk a little bit about mine after you, like how you transition from just being a real estate agent to now having other advisors or agents rather that work.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, the first thing I would say is if you haven't read the book, Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, you definitely got to read that book. It talks about being an employee, then going to self-employed, which, just a regular realtor, I was self-employed. Then it tells you about going to be a business owner, system, scalable, people. And then it's also, then the last one is being an investor, right? So where you're investing is just straight passive income. Right. So for me, I read that book maybe like 5-6 years ago. And I'm like, okay, damn, I'm just self-employed. Every time I go on vacation, I always got to have my computer, my phone, and all this type of stuff, answering phone calls. And so like, I need to get to this business side to be a business owner. Started the, Daniels Real Estate Group 2 years ago. And we're able to bring in some very prominent, some dominant agents with me, right? So where now I get a percentage of whatever they do. I still have to be mentoring and give them systems and things of that nature, and just be, that broker in charge. But at the same time, even when if I haven't talked to them for a week, a month or something like that, they're still making money, doing closings and stuff where I get a percentage of it. So now I'm able to kind of really focus now just on the marketing. How can we continue to expand, grow Daniels Real Estate Group, some development I'm doing. I was able to free up some of my time to, work on this 14 townhome property that I'm selling. So I definitely think it's very advantageous if you are able to get people and systems to be able to help you expand your reach. Right.
So he demonstrated how he is doing it through people, right? And naturally there's systems that support that. So him and I, like he said, he's seen my growth. I've seen his growth, right? So I remember, just talking to Javin about like systems and processes and technology and just to see.
It was you. It was really you.
Yeah. And to see the evolution is dope, right? And so like, so for me, the way I've done it both ways, right? Obviously I have my firm, I have other advisors who work underneath me. So I, to your point, can travel and I have to have my laptop open all the time. But through the Melanin Millionaires Club, I created a system, right? Being able to serve people at scale. So like we have thousands of members now. Like I launched it as Pocket Advisor in January 2021. Rebranded to the Melanin Millionaires Club so I can have it all in one ecosystem. And so now I have a membership model, right? Where just like Netflix, where you charge $7, $14, which Netflix done gone up, like $20 a month. Our membership is actually $49 a month, but it's so valuable because if people were to hire me as an advisor, right, it's going to cost them, it's not going to be cheap. Let's just say that, you know what I'm saying? And so now we have a platform where you can learn, be educated about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and wealth building. But I'm able to do that at scale, right? People can sign up for that subscription, right? I can guarantee you, I'll bet money that while we're on this podcast, somebody's signing up, right? Yeah. And so that's scalability because it's a system. If someone has to DM me for pricing or like can't find a link or can't swipe their card without talking to me, it's a strong chance I can't build something that's scalable, right? If someone has to talk to Javin every time they want to sell a house, he can't build a scalable real estate brokerage, right? So once you get to a point where you have a high income skill set, that's when you can transition into building something that's scalable. But the key is like you really want to make sure that you still have the skill set because what happens if all your agents leave, right? You want to make sure at the end of the day, if every advisor left from Capital Wise, I can still do it. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't have to be the only guy right now, but if everybody left, I know how to do it. I'd be hurting because I'm so used to like having a system and people and
I actually, and not to cut you off, but I learned that from my first broker, first brokerage firm I was with. I was the man. I was making all the money, and then I left to go on to another thing, and she hadn't done deals in 6-7 months.
Right.
You know, with real estate, you got to keep that momentum.
Right.
So, you know, we talk now. We talk now, and it's just like, hey, I was hurting that, you know, a year and a half after you left just because you was doing all the, you know, making all the money. So I definitely say you got to keep your tools sharp. Mm-hmm. I still sell real estate. You know, I may be leading still in at the firm. You know, I still may have the most sales right now, you know, not to brag, but you still want to always continue to do that, right? You know, and then if I'm not even in the field, I can't, since I'm leading people, you know, I need to know what's going on. I got to have that experience. If they come to me with a situation, I got to at least be able to like, oh yeah.
Right. Or have a long enough track record to where you proved it, right? Because obviously there's coaches like in the NBA, right? But the coaches who get more credit are the ones who did it. Like the guy who like, how are you a coach, right? Yeah. It's kind of hard to build that morale. But like, if you have a proven, either you're in the field or you have a proven track record of being in the field,
right?
That's what gives you this premise to be able to build this scalable business, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's phase 2 of the wealth triangle, is where people and or systems make you money, because that's the only way to build something scalable. Mm-hmm. And so the logic here is, on the first leg of the wealth triangle, right? You take the excess money, because Javin did this really well. He spent a lot of money these days. But when I first met him, right? Like, he lived very, very humble lifestyle, right? Because it's just like, you know what I'm saying? I think you got a scholarship to play ball. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have student loan debt. Car payment was very modest, you know what I'm saying? So, because he was a full-time entrepreneur, it's like, hey, look, I know there's ebbs and flows, you know what I'm saying? Like, there could be months where it rains, and there could be months where it's a little, you know,
100%.
It's a drought. And so, you know, the key is, with your high income skill set, is you want to keep your highs low and your lows high, right? What I mean by that is, let's just say, you know, you make $15,000 a month in your business, right? 1 month, but your expenses maybe might be $3,000 or $4,000 a month, right? You want to keep spending that $3,000 or $4,000. You don't want to run up a bag just because you made $15,000 that month, right? Because the next month you might make $15. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you're in a service-based business, like in his business, like, you know, there could be lending issues. Things could get held up in underwrite. Like, it could be a lot of variables that hold up your money. You might have already been counting on it, thinking it's going to happen. Or the pipeline might just dry, or somebody might decide they don't want the house anymore. And so if you had $15,000 that you made 1 month, but you only spent $3,000, guess what? You still have cash flow to float you in months where there's a drought, right? So the reason why that's beneficial is it's also going to take money to invest to build something scalable, right? It's one thing if Javin's the only person that got to make the money, right? He can probably do just enough to make ends meet. But when you have to create an infrastructure for a team, you got to buy technology. You got to bring people in to train. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that people don't see when they build a scalable business. They want to count the pockets of the CEO, not realizing there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes y'all don't even realize is happening to make this happen. And so as a CEO and as a person who's developing a high income skill set, you got to keep money in the bank to be able to hire, invest in people, invest in systems. Because if not, you're never going to get to the scalable business, right?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I done definitely made some good money, and I see myself, and I still have to be like, dang, okay, I got to make sure I keep some money in the business for, you know, anything that may happen. Right. You know, paying people now and all that type of stuff. So yeah, I've seen myself make $40,000, $50,000, and then still only pay myself $5,000 to, you know what I'm saying, to say, just so you have to make sure that you keep that money in. I want to take it and splurge a little bit, right? But I know it's just that discipline that, you know, you didn't show me as well, that you just got to keep that money in reserves. Absolutely. And something always happens where I need to
Murphy's Law. If it can't happen,
it will happen. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so that gives you the resources to be able to build something scalable, which then takes me into the last leg of the wealth triangle, which is where money makes you money. And this is the one everybody gets excited about, right? Mm-hmm. Investing in the stock market, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Passive income. And I love the stock market. Y'all know, I'll show you a screenshot in a heartbeat. There's nothing more passive. There's nothing more passive than investing in the stock market, right? But the caveat is, and my personal finance experts probably aren't going to like me saying this, but like, yes, start where you are, do what you can, use what you have. If you got $10, $20, cool. I get it. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you something they're not going to tell you. That's not going to move the needle for you, right? Mm-hmm. You invest in $10 a month, like, don't believe the hype. Like, it's not going to move the needle for you. Yeah. What's going to move the needle for you is creating a high income skill set, investing money into a scalable business, and ultimately having enough money to where if you get that 1%, 2%, 4% gain in the market, it's going to mean something, right? I don't have to play options or do anything fancy with my investments in the stock market because I own enough shares. So like the only way it makes sense is if you have enough extra cash flow, right, that you don't need, that can work for you. Because if you're trying to chase money, right, if you're like, oh, I need to flip this stock, or I got to, like, I'm telling you, Here's a bar for you. The shorter the period of time that you need the money, the harder it will be to make what you need.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't need it, it just seems to be so much easier. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's esoteric. I don't know if it's philosophical. I don't know if it's, but when you need it, it just seems so elusive. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't need it, like it's almost like deal making. The person who has the most leverage in the deal is the one who doesn't need the deal. If you can legitimately afford to walk away from the deal, then you're probably going to get the best terms in the deal.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. So it's the same thing in investing. If you need the money, like, yo, I gotta flip this week, it's not gonna happen. You're probably gonna lose money.
You never want to do anything out of desperation anyways, right? You definitely don't want to feel forced or pressured to do anything. It has to feel right. It has to, you just got to vibe. It has to be a vibe. Yeah.
Never cut a tree down in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Right? No. That's one of my favorite quotes.
He come with these philosophies.
Never cut a tree down in the wintertime, right? Like if you look at a tree in the wintertime, all the leaves are off, it's brittle. It's like, that's a terrible looking tree. Wait a few months. See what happens when it's time for it to bloom, right? Yeah. So you don't want to make decisions out of desperation. But not to go off on a tangent, the third leg of the wealth triangle is money making you money, right? So you take the money that you've invested into the scalable business and now you've scaled that and you have these extra resources. They say, you know what? My business is now an asset. That's the whole objective here.
Right.
When you build a scalable business, you've now turned into an asset. Right. Because you don't have to be there for it to operate. Right. And if you can't build you should build your business as if you want to sell. Even if you don't want to sell it, you should build it as if it could be sold. Is it productized? Right. Is it tangible? Like, is it something that anybody can step in and operate? Because if not, it's not is it really, you're self-employed, right?
Yeah, you're self-employed.
At the end of the day, right? And so it's like, you want to turn your business into, so first you want to become an asset. You see where I'm going with this, right? I hit y'all with you know how Dave Chappelle brings it full circle?
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So you become an asset
first. Who sleeps on the floor can't fall out of bed. You know what I'm saying?
What that has to do with anything? That's true. But you become the asset first.
Yeah.
Right? We say assets do what? They appreciate, right? So what you appreciates. If you appreciate yourself enough to invest in yourself, become better, go to conferences. Like we went to, what was it? Grant Cardone 2019, you know what I'm saying? In Miami, right? Like invest in yourself because what you appreciates. And if we say assets appreciate, you got to appreciate yourself enough to become your first asset.
Yeah.
Then you invest in a business, right, with people or systems, and you turn your business into an asset, right? Then you invest in high return assets where your money makes you money, right? But the key is having enough surplus to where because if you have to like manage the investments, then it's just, you create another job for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like real estate is not a big part of my portfolio right now, but because when I do real estate, like I want to be able to just stroke the check. I'm not the flipper guy. I'm not the guy that's going to be super hands-on. I do want to know what's happening, right, with my money, but I want to be able to have the resources specifically for that asset to where it's like I can get 10 doors at a time and boom. You know what I'm saying? I got the team, everything's in place because I want it to be truly, I know where I'm at, right? I want it to be truly passive. I don't want another job for myself.
Yeah.
Right. And so you want to invest in ways where your money truly can make you money, right? I can log into my investment account. I'll be transparent. Like this week, my investment account made like $45,000. I did nothing to make that money.
Owe me $5.
Sure, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, you owe me some money now. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I'm even. We even.
We even? Okay. All right, that's a bet. But yeah, so it's like, but that's truly passive. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, but even in that, even though I'm in the third phase, quote unquote, money making me money, me and my wife are still a one-car household. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get a second car because I got a Legend. Shout out to Legend. You know what I'm saying?
Nephew.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we do need a bigger car. But like, you just have to care more about peace of mind and freedom and legacy than you care about flexing. Could I get whatever car I want? Sure.
Yeah, you could
know what I'm saying? But it's just like, I don't need it. So I'm not pressed for it.
Yeah.
And that gave me an extra, I think over the time, my car payment was like $600 plus insurance. Times that by 7%. That's $94,000 more than I made just by not having the BMW during that time period. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, you got to be able to make those kind of decisions. I'm not saying you got to live humbly. I travel. I enjoy last year I did more traveling than I did in a long time. But you got to be able to make sure that you're willing to make whatever sacrifice you have to get the ideal life that you want to get, right? And so when you do that, it gives you enough resources to invest in assets where money can make you money, high return assets where money makes you money. Now, this could be cash flow producing real estate. It could be investing in the stock market. It could be investing in a business that you own but do not run. You know what I'm saying?
Trucking company. Vending machines. You know, digital marketing. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do.
Right.
Investing in family members, people, you know, you never know, but there's definitely a lot more things that you can do once you have that flexibility and that income.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And so as we kind of like, you know, do a little recap here, I know this was a quicker episode, but I think we got a lot of value, you know, in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. But I just want to kind of do a recap here, right? Because, you know, our podcast is always tactical. We always want to give y'all some homework, something that you can take away and actually implement, right?
And one thing before we go, use other people's money.
OPM.
Yeah. Other people's money. If you made the money, you leverage that money to keep it in the bank and use somebody else. As long as you can prove that you have that money, then you can use somebody else's money to do anything that you want to do. So I say that should be in there as well.
100%. Sure. Always, like even in investing in high return assets. I did a class on this, I think last week, and they ate it up because it was like our culture and our society has been taught about debt, but not about leverage, right? Yep. So we talk about debt, like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid of the credit card debt, boom, boom, boom. But like, we're talking about leverage, and leverage is when you have identified an investment where the return is going to be greater than the interest owed on the money borrowed, right? So that's how you know if it makes sense to borrow the money or not. If I borrow $100 and I can use that 100 to make 500, and the cost of capital is, let's say, another 100, so I'm netting out, let's call it $300, yeah. Right? Then that's a good deal. But you have to evaluate and approach it that way. So, for example, to my business owners, don't get business credit or borrow money to float your business. If you've identified how you can grow your business, I'm going to invest in marketing. I'm doing paid ads. It's going to bring me in 10 times more leads. And for every lead that comes in, I got a 10% close ratio, right? If you've quantified what you're going to use the money for, great. Yeah. Do the leverage. But if you're using the leverage because like I'm trying to meet payroll, now keep in mind, you got to do what you got to do, right? We could do a whole episode on like, growing pains. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just what it looks like. But
there'd be times like that too.
Yeah. So I'm not saying like you don't have seasons of work. You got to figure it out. I've had that season. He's had that season. And there might be, and then as
I'm still in that season. Don't count my pockets.
And as you grow, it looks different, right? Because it's like at one point, growing pains is how can I feed me? Then another point, growing pains is I got a payroll that I got to meet, right? So it doesn't mean it just as you get bigger and as you grow, you're still going to have growing pain. That's what I call it, growing pains, right? So I'm not saying that borrowing money to keep your business afloat is bad. I'm just saying ideally you want to be able to quantify how you're going to make a return on the money, even if it is hiring, right? If you know, okay, if I free up my time to be able to hire this person,
no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Samantha, I told you, I remember you were asking me about hiring like your first person for officially, right? And I had hired Samantha when people were late, like full time. She was already working with me part time. I hired her at the top of the pandemic, right? Which nobody knew. Like, you know what I'm saying? I took on, another full time person at the top of the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? And by the grace of God, my business like tripled, but it was because of the capacity that I had as a result of having her full time on the team.
Yeah. My first agent, before she was my first agent, she was actually my assistant, and I needed her, and my business grew for where I was able to bring her on full time. And then she was able to, finesse the agency, and she booming. And, she's not my assistant anymore. Shout out to her because she's making all the sales. But Loretta.
Shout out to Loretta.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, definitely. I think investing in people for sure can help you scale your business to where it does make sense.
Yep. Yep. So we're talking about leverage, right? You brought up leverage. Now I was going to do a recap.
Oh yeah, the recap.
Cool. Yeah. So so number one, investing in yourself, right? Like developing a high income skill set. So number one thing I want you to take away from this podcast is, do I already have a high income skill set? Do I have something that I can pick up the phone at any given time if I had to? Not a website, not digital marketing. Like people will pay me for this skill, right? If you had to, if all your agents left, you can go out and sell your own houses.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So like, what is that skill set that you have or that you intend to develop that you'll continue to pour into to become the best in class in your lane? It's almost like when you say Kleenex, you're talking about tissue, right? But Kleenex has built such a strong brand that people associate it with all of tissue. So you want to be that authority in your lane, in your marketplace. Someone says real estate in North Carolina.
They say Javin.
You know what I'm saying? When someone says personal finance or wealth building, you want them to think George. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the only way you do that though is becoming a person of value, right? It's not just selling houses. It's not just being a great advisor. It's what I'm doing right now, right? It's like you put out this valuable content and it's like, okay, you become a household name because of brand recognition.
And don't be afraid to give it away for free. But we can keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We ain't going to keep going on. But
now, I'm going to say something to that real quick, though. If you're afraid to give it away for free, that means you don't know enough.
Exactly.
Right? I can give away game all day long because I'm immersed in being the best at what I do. You follow what I'm saying? 100%. So like, don't be afraid to give it away.
Yeah.
But become the best version of yourself. And here's a growth hack. Give away as much as possible because then you're forced to learn more.
Yeah.
Right? You're forced to go back and get more information.
100%.
So that's a growth hack. You want to become better, put yourself on I drop podcasts every single Wednesday, which is why we have the setup right now. Cause I was like, shoot, co-host ain't here. Got to figure it out. But we're going to get it done. This is going to drop a few days from now. Right? But I have to always be immersed in new information so I can give it back to y'all, which makes me best in class, right? The next thing is, if you want to build a scalable business, ask yourself, is my existing high income skill set the thing that I want or will be able to build a scalable business in? Because then I can help you understand, are you going down the road with the right high income skill set, right? If you can't see the evolution to where this could turn into X, Y, and Z, then maybe you might want to pick up a different skill. So for example, running paid ads for people for their business is a skill set that will always be in demand, right? So you might be an individual that does it, but then can you turn that into an agency where you have other people doing it, right? So just ask yourself, from what I'm doing now, can I see a path to people or systems being able to run this thing so that I can own this as an asset? Because there's a difference between equity and compensation, right? Equity is ownership. So if I don't work in my business a day, if I stop being an advisor today, because I have ownership in it, at the end of the year, when we look at the profit, I'm entitled to my ownership stake relative to the growth of the business, right? Compensation is what you get for the role that you fulfill. So I'm a CEO, and the CEO has a job title, right? But even if I do a bad job of being CEO, now granted, I'm not a bad CEO, but like I still own the company. You follow what I'm saying? And so equity means I get an equity stake of the company. Compensation means I get a paycheck. I'm not saying one is better than the other. Well, equity is better. But what I am saying is, at the end of the day, you want to build towards equity to become an owner and start to mitigate the compensation. Also from a tax perspective, that's how the rich stay rich. Because if I have equity, I can pay myself $1 salary, right? And then I can either take a distribution from the company, which is going to be taxed lower, or if I'm really fancy, I can get my business valued and borrow against the value of my own business asset, and loans are not taxed as income. That's a bar. Loans aren't taxed as income. So if you borrow the money as leverage and know that you're going to make more money back on it, and on top of that, you can write the interest off of the loan that you borrow.
Talk to me, man. You can just show me some stuff.
Yeah. So turn your business into an asset, right? Because there's a lot of powerful things you can do when you do that. And ask yourself, am I building something with my high income skill set that can be turned into an asset? And the last but not least, identify the high return assets that you want to invest in that are truly passive, right? Javin mentioned a lot. He threw out a lot. Trucking, vending. What else did you throw out? We said real estate.
We said real estate, yeah.
Stock market.
Stock
you know
market.
What I'm saying?
Yes, it's a lot of things.
So pick a path, right? Like you don't have to do everything, but you have to do something. Right? The problem is there's so many options that people get confused. Like, oh, should I do Turo? Should I do Airbnb? Just pick something, right? Just pick something. Like, for example, I'm not the biggest fan of Dave Ramsey's teaching style when it comes to debt specifically, right? Because he makes people fearful of debt. I feel like he teaches people how to play not to lose and not play to win. And there's a distinct difference, right? Playing not to lose is saving you from yourself. It's like, I don't trust you to win at the highest level, so I'm just going to prevent you from making any mistakes, right? And if you have no consumer debt, if you don't borrow, have your house paid off, yeah, it's pretty hard to lose, right? Yeah. But I want to play to win. I want the biggest.
Not spread.
On YouTube, I can't cuss, but I want the biggest building. I guess you can, but you gotta do some setting or something. Okay. But I want to build the biggest. I want to own it all. You know what I mean? And so you got to leverage. You got to OPM. You got to take risks to do that. Yeah. And so just make those risks strategic. So identify, what assets you want to invest in is going to help you build your wealth empire. But I hope this podcast was helpful. Again, I call it the wealth triangle. It's the cornerstone of a lot of the things that I teach, because especially as an entrepreneur, if you adopt this philosophy, you'll understand that you are the first asset. Don't let people trick you out of your spot and you start spreading yourself too thin and everybody's talking about options trading. I got to invest in the stock market. And I love the stock market, but I'm telling you, you're your first asset, right? Don't let nobody trick you out your spot, but come to bag, secure yourself, baggage claim. Actually, I'm going to do a new shirt, man, with the money. I'm going to tell you about the top line. Yeah. But anyways, thank y'all for tuning in. If you love this episode, please leave a 5-star review. Also, drop some feedback down in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. See you next time.